Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and as we're edging closer and closer to the end of the transfer window with hopefully some exciting things to talk about over the next couple of days. There's been a lot of talk about dominoes this, dominoes that. I feel like I'm in the pub in the late 80s, ladies and gentlemen, so instead of individually spamming you with videos over the next couple of days, I thought let's meet and sit here together and do a wee delicious Rangers roundup of all of these dominoes and discuss the players that will be leaving this football club and crown it off with the absolute nonsense of the week, which might just top all previous nonsense of the weeks has been a part of the Rangers roundup. So strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen, there's a hell of a lot to talk about, and for a large majority of you, I imagine the talking points will make you very happy. And to start off today's video, I think I'm going to go back to the weekend to discuss the news of Ben Davies joining Birmingham City on loan. Now, granted it is a couple of days old now, and I'm sure everyone's already had their say, but again, I had an eye for this video. I wanted to hit it about midweek when I expected things to be at its hottest in terms of potential outs for this, and for me, we have to talk about Ben Davies a part of this video, because again, he is that first domino to actually fall. Now, granted it isn't necessarily the first domino we expected in terms of the permanent transfer aspect, as it is just a season-long loan with no option to buy or obligation to buy or any of these terminologies these days that pretty much just say the club wants to keep them at the end of the loan. There's nothing quite in that contract just yet, so we'll have to keep everything crossed that Ben Davies can go down there and press, and Tom Brady can come out here and spend some money and bring him down the road permanently. Please dinna deflate my balls, Tom Brady, and send them back. I can't handle it. You're welcome. See the three people that got that? Did you see it coming? I'm proud of it. But all joking and all that to one side, let's go ahead and get into the video then, shall we? Because if you give me the next couple of minutes of your day, we're going to go ahead and discuss Ben Davies and why I feel like he was never the problem or the biggest issue in the team, but he is a symptom and a cause of the failings that's been hurting this football club for far, far too long. Because it wasn't too long ago that we spent a lot of beans to bring old Ben up. The beanstalk coming to this football club, apparently spending the similar amounts of money as we spent on Goldson and on Hollander, and they matter how you feel about one of those two, I think it's very fair to say that Ben Davies never came close to filling either of those shoes, and certainly not getting anywhere near the price tag it took him to bring him up the road to Rangers. But I'm asking whoever's watching today's video right now, is that a surprise or a shock to anyone that it never worked out? Nah, I don't think it will be to many, because everyone felt the exact same thing. And again, you could say he was climbing up a hill right away as soon as he came to Rangers, but Ben Davies was never what the fans felt like we wanted, or more importantly, needed in their team. We wanted a big powerhouse centre-half that can handle the physicality of Scottish football, the thing that we keep losing year upon year to Celtic as they pick up every single trophy, because we don't have a squad that is built to play in Scottish football. You know what I mean? That's what we felt like we actually needed, but unfortunately the people that actually make the decisions went the opposite way of the fans and went and got what they felt like they wanted in the football club, and after that failed, as it always did, and managers were sacked and things were ripped up, we are then left with again gone back to ground zero, doing the same mistakes again, but except this time we've now got heavy wage budgets, and all the misfits and mistakes that the previous manager, the previous board, the previous scouting department brought in are all sort of sitting here strangling a life out of the football club. It's the same air and air again. And again, that's where the Truman Show references actually come out, because I do feel like I'm in a loop. The same mistakes, the same vicious circle, air and air again. And honestly, I feel a wee bit bad for Ben Davies. You've probably heard me say this before. I don't think he's half as bad as a lot of people actually make him out to be, but he was never what we needed in this football club, and he was never the solution to the problems we were having to the football club. And you could genuinely make the argument that his biggest weaknesses of being a defender is the strength of 99.9% of the teams that we play in Scottish football. And if that's the case, which I truly believe actually is, now seeing Davies for years at this football club, I've got to wonder why the hell we brought him in and why the hell we spent the money on him in it. Who suggested to bring him in? There's going to be questions actually there. It's never worked for day one, despite him having moments. I thought his partnership occasionally with Goldson was good, but again, a glaring weakness was against the big, tall, lone strikers. We're in Scotland. that's what we play. Speaking of questions to recruitment and everything like that is, Ben Davies spent a lot of his time playing in a free centre-back formation, whether it is a back three or a back five, you know what I mean? It's still free centre-backs, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I say him and Suter both were used to that style. Now again, Suter was more of a back five and had a kind of full-back near him, or a wing-back, if you will, but they were used to that formation, so it made you believe that, okay, we must be transitioning into playing at the free-back, because we went ahead and got two Connor Cody's, but we took two Connor Cody's and threw them into a back four, and if you get that reference, you'll know it makes complete and utter sense. Is neither one of them is quite worked out, and they've always looked a little bit awkward, because we've both players that are good at one thing until them today a complete other. Now, to be fair, Soapy's actually played well the last couple of games, and I certainly hope he has a good game this weekend. He's obviously outlived Ben Davies, but they do share a hell of a lot of similarities, so I wonder what the hell the original plan was when bringing them two in. Was it going to be a back three? Was it going to be something else? But whatever it was, it's no here now, and it's no working. Ben Davies is loaned out to Birmingham City, and I can only hope the man can go ahead and press Tom Brady and those at Birmingham so he gets kept. And again, write off and fix another expensive mistake and flop from this football club, and that's a shame, ladies and gentlemen. But again, he was never going to be what we needed him to be. The question has to be, why did we go ahead and get him? Go down there, lad. I think he will actually play really well at Birmingham, if I'm honest with you, and you'll start to see him this and perform this and see the Birmingham fans love him, and we start saying, maybe it's your club. It's no, the weight and the demands and the pressures are certainly one thing when against some of these players like Ben Davies. But again, he's gone to Birmingham City. The league's not quite the same as ours. And again, his strengths will be actually there and will be on show. And it's not quite as long, but it's not quite as solo men up front. So it'll suit him. So he'll go back to playing well. So I'm not going to be surprised when we hear how well Ben Davies is doing down there. And I can't wait for it, because it means we'll get some money at the end of the old loan. So that's my opinion on it. It needed to happen, ladies and gentlemen, and it's the right move. Then moving on to the next player, it's going to be none other than Scotty Wright. Now again, depending on when you're watching today's video, this one is 99.9% done, as the man's doing there. He's doing a medical. Apparently stuff has been agreed, you know what I mean? That's where we are. But as it's Scotty Wright, you just never know. You know what I mean? He done his goodbye interview 2 years ago at a Turkish airport, and he's still at the football club. So it wouldn't surprise me, despite again looking 99.9% done right now, we see him leading the line or playing out the right hand side versus Celtic at the weekend. And by God, I nearly burst into tears thinking of that. But you never know with Scott. He's got more lives than a cat. But honestly, he must be getting near the old limit, and that's where I think it is again, he's also linked with Birmingham City. So before we go, thank you, Birmingham City. But I do want to talk about Scotty and Scotty's time at this football club, because again, I'm not just going to be constantly negative, and I'll have my odd jokes here and there, but it's not ever personal. He's a much better football player than I ever was or ever could have been, you know what I mean? Or anyone watched today's video. He got to live your dream of going ahead and playing for Rangers. He's made that. Now some might argue he lived it too long and he played too long in a Rangers shirt, and that is very fair. But for me, Scotty, and my memories of Scotty Wright in this football club will be having good little moments, followed by a spell in his career in his Rangers shirt that should never ever have happened. Because see, when he was brought into this football club originally, the blueprint was set by Steven Gerrard, what type of player he was and what type of player he actually wasn't. Because he was brought into this football club a couple of years ago after signing a pre-contract. We ended up spending 100k on him and giving Ross McCrory 100k and Ross McCrory for Scotty Wright. It's embarrassing how we handle transfers, but either way, he came in, he played 13 games throughout the rest of that season. He only started 3 of them, with 2 of them being in the Cup, with 1 of them also being Cove Rangers. That was the blueprint set. That is who he actually was. An impact sub player to run on 10-15 minutes at the end of the actual game. And because he was pretty good at that, he got 1 chance from Steven Gerrard in a big game to start and get an opportunity to actually play. Because again, he didn't start versus Celtic the previous year under Gerrard, but versus Malmo in the Champions League qualifiers, Gerrard gave him an opportunity to start, and he was absolutely barking, ladies and gentlemen. And after not performing at the levels, we got knocked out by Cholak FC and everything like that, he never was given an opportunity to play in another, but he didn't play in the next Old Firm. He didn't do unless he was not given an opportunity to start, as it was clear what he was and again what he wasn't. Now unfortunately Gerrard did leave, but do we blame him now when we see the incompetence at every level of this football club? But then came Gio, and to be fair, Gio also stuck by that mindset and stuck by that old method. However, because of injuries, because of form and everything elsewhere, and again truly because of injuries, to be honest with you. The man ended up starting more games the following season when Gio came in, and ended up starting a European final as well, which does make me very, very ill to think we played in a European final with Joe Rebo being played out of position as the striker and Scotty Wright playing on the right wing. It's painful to actually think about, but that's where we actually were. And to be fair, his season was alright on occasions, obviously lit up by the fact that he played a phenomenal game in the cup final when he came off the bench and scored, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? It's almost ironic that his best game that season wasn't when he was a starter. It's when he came on for the bench and went ahead and played. It just wouldn't ever catch on, as he ended up scoring 7 goals that season with 3 assists, by far his best statistical season in 37 games that actual year. But after that, again, this notion, this mindset, this idea that Scotty Wright can do a job not just in and around 18 but a part of the starting 11 started to really snowball downhill, as I don't know if the board saw, oh, we didn't need to spend money there because we've got Scotty Wright, he's on very little wages, blah blah blah, to us to play. I don't know what went wrong to why he was bumped up from occasional starter when there was injuries to bang on starter the next year, but it went off a cliff as he played 34 games in all competitions with 0 goals. Again, it wasn't his level. Scotty is what Scotty is. It's us that's mismanaged him. It's us that's played him when he shouldn't have been played, and that's when he started to get substituted off at half time all the time. You know what I mean? Ajax, Napoli, Celtic, all starting and getting ripped off at half time, being absolutely barking. But should he have ever been starting those games? No, because we learned years before versus Malmo in the Champions League qualifiers, he wasn't at that level. If we want to push on to that level, we can't rely on the likes of Scotty Wright. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was 4 years ago. This season, during the Champions League qualifier, guess what? Scotty Wright started a game in the Champions League qualifier, got ripped off at half time. It's just awful, and it's been frustrating and disappointing that we're still making the same mistakes year upon year upon year. Centre back, the regression, and then here as well. Aye, that's how I feel about Scotty, truly, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you for the cup final goal. I thought he was brilliant on that day. He had some good moments. He was able to run his arse off with that tunnel vision he's got. He did help win us some games when we went ahead 155, getting on the park, running, using his energy, help us win some games. Even assisted versus Leipzig, even that was mostly saucy Glenn Kamara. But again, he overstayed his welcome because managers overplayed their hands with him and put him in a position he should never ever have been. When he was the impact player as a bench player, we didn't mind him. It's the frustration that built up when he was constantly a starter and get ripped off at half time all the time. That's where the frustration is. But I think it's quite clear that I agree with his decision. It was badly needed, and that's how I feel about Scotty's time here and Scotty's legacy here. He played 120 games, scoring 12 goals and grabbing 7 assists. The stats are barking. So were most of the performances, but again, we put him in these positions, so who's to actually blame? We knew he wasn't good enough. We just kept throwing him in to the firing line, and he sometimes, for me, felt like a sacrificial lamb in some of these games. And I wasn't really happy with how he was used over the last couple of years, as clearly his stats and his progression just went. Next up, we have Todd Cantwell. As again, just like Scotty Wright, he is edging closer and closer, and by the time you're probably watching today's video, or depending on which day you're actually watching, of course, he should be officially left the football club, and it should be an end to the Todd Cantwell saga. Finally. And I'll be honest, I never thought it was going to end this way. I really never. And unlike Scotty and unlike Ben Davies, whose time had gone and you had to see it, they just weren't good enough, Todd is good enough. When he's on the park and he's at it and he's playing, this man's ability and talent clearly shines in a Rangers team. You think of our run last year when we were blitzing and we were playing well and we went on that fantastic win and run. Who was pulling the strings in the middle with goal or assist, 5 and 6 during a very tough away period for us? It was Todd Cantwell. Then he got injured. Then Redvan got injured, then Cortez, and the arse completely fell out. Ironically, when we had to rely on Tom Lawrence instead of Todd Cantwell, we got worse as a team. And now this season, we're having to rely on Tom Lawrence instead of Todd Cantwell. And that's what we've decided to go in with. It's a baffling decision, but it's all been out there. But again, it's all Todd Cantwell's fault in a way. And it's interesting because as much as I liked his dickish aspects in terms of how he played, because again, this laddie was kicked for pillar to post every game with no protection for the referees. I know everybody hates him because of what's happening now, but come on, let's have an actual football conversation. That boy was absolutely smashed every time he touched the ball, right back up and playing. I've not seen a guy getting kicked about as much as that since Ryan Kent, and he would bite into it and he would give it back, and we liked him for that. He would score goals, he would assist, he would play well, we liked all that, but unfortunately when things got tough, he couldn't continue to play that way, as everything, when it was going right, Todd was great, but maybe a story of his career, the second it goes wrong and he doesn't get all his own way, it starts to go all wrong. And for me, Todd Cantwell is a casualty of what it takes to play for Rangers and the pressure and responsibility to carry a Rangers side. No many can actually do it, ladies and gentlemen, especially when you're a figurehead, when you're one of the most popular players, one of the biggest players, one of the most talented players in a Rangers team, whilst you're looking across the city and your old firm rivals are winning derby after derby, trophy after trophy. That's a hell of a load on your shoulders and a hell of a load up at you here. And maybe this is a conversation for someone a hell of a lot smarter for me, but unfortunately for Todd, it looks like he just completely unravelled, as he couldn't handle that aspect of it, to constantly be criticised, to constantly be talked in every broadcast, to be demanded more, the demands of playing for this football club were too much for him, ladies and gentlemen. And when again it wasn't gone right, it all went wrong for him on that aspect. And as much flack as Tav gets, and as much as Morelos, Goldson got, and even Ryan Kent, none of them cracked and fell away as quickly as Todd Cantwell did. As soon as he was given the opportunity to be the guy, or be a guy in a Rangers team, look what's happened in less than an actual year. That's why I've got a lot of respect for the laddies, the four we mentioned. Weren't they always perfect, never all done this, but they had a hell of a lot on their shoulders, and they never unravelled as quickly as Todd Cantwell unfortunately did. And that's a shame, ladies and gentlemen, because again, as a player, I think you can see by my demeanour and how I'm talking, as a player, brilliant, isn't he? He's actually a fantastic football player, but it's all the other stuff that he couldn't handle, and that's what's happened to him here. And it's a shame, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope it works out for him, not only where he moves on to next, if it is Blackburn, if he moves on here and everything, because someone at his talent and what he's able to do on the actual park shouldn't he be gone. No disrespect to Blackburn if there is any Blackburn fans, this isn't the move that he should be making in his actual career. He should be up there with the O'Reillys, going into the Premier League and everything. You can argue who was better, but talent wise, again, Cantwell was close to a £40 million move, and then fell out in Norwich because he didn't get the £40 million move, then was sunk in the reserves for a while, and then he came up here to rebuild his reputation. He rebuilt it, then things started to go wrong, and then he's burnt it to the ground again. Hopefully one day it clicks to the laddie that it's no everybody else's fault. Sometimes he just needs to take the responsibility and screw in the old head, because he's got it on the park. He's a phenomenal football player, but unfortunately it's just been all the off the field stuff, and that's where we've ended up going right now. And aye, it's a shame, ladies and gentlemen, but again, I hope it certainly works out for the laddies. He played 64 games in total for Rangers, scoring 12 goals and having 12 assists, which that's a very good stats and statistics when you look at how he went ahead and played. But again, I'll miss Todd the player, but I won't miss Todd the sideshow. And it's not even necessarily the whole TikTok stuff or the social media stuff or anything like that. I didn't bother too much when he posted this or this or this when things were going alright, but again, you start to make a target for your own back when you post stuff when things aren't going well and you aren't playing well. You start to embarrass yourself and start to embarrass the club. You start feeling that pressure, and when you talk the talk and you didn't walk the walk, it all goes wrong, and it's a recipe for disaster. And that's how I feel about the end of Todd Cantwell's career at Rangers. Should never have went this way. Mistakes probably were made on both sides, but it's a real disappointment that Todd Cantwell's Rangers career ends the same way as his Norwich career did. But again, hopefully it works out now in Blackburn and he goes ahead and does his thing. He's a great player, great to see him playing at a level. He just couldn't handle the responsibility and the weight of the shot, and that's obviously been evident by how it ended right here. And to finish up the old transfer Rangers roundup out edition, let's go to the old nonsense of the week then, shall we? And this was absolutely incredible, ladies and gentlemen. We're here to talk about Haji, who went ahead and released this on his social media last night. Speaking of social media, as we did at Todd Cantwell, Haji wanted to clarify a couple of things that's been said about him, probably because of a lot of the stuff that's gone on with Cantwell and bad this and no training this. He wanted to clarify what's actually happening with him in his time at Rangers, so he's not flung alongside and sacrificed alongside Todd Cantwell. He's come out and said no matter what rumour you've heard here or the papers went with this or this, he's never once asked to leave this football club. He's never once pushed to leave this football club, which is completely different from what we've actually been told and fed to us. So that there is a statement in itself. And what I found was most curious is when he talked about working around the situations and everything like that, or the speculations that's actually there if both parties are interested. And for me, that might be a wee nod to the wage increase, which might be why one of the reasons he's not actually playing. You know what I mean? It sounds like he's willing to remove that for his contract and actually take less money to play for us if there's actually interest on the other side, but yet there apparently isn't, and he just wanted to clarify where he is as a team. He loves here, he wants to be here, he wants to play for Rangers, and for me, I've got no problem with that. Again, shushburgers and all that stuff are different than coming out and clearing up nonsense when people are talking crap about you week upon week and printing nonsense showing you. I didn't mind what Haji's done. Now, to be fair, the last time he spoke his mind and clarified that he wanted to play for his club, Bale kicked him to Spain, so I don't know where Phil's actually going to send them, but that's it, ladies and gentlemen, with that. And for me, the reasons it's nonsense of the week isn't what Haji's done, it's just this whole scenario. Because see if I'd done a Rangers rumour, right, just pretend you're clicking on a new link, right, you just say, just think of whatever name you actually want. I'm telling you, we've got a both fitted player that's comfortable on either side, that's an internationalist that's just went to the Euros and played really, really well at the Euros, ladies and gentlemen. The average is a goal or assist every 3 games throughout his entire career combined. However, he's just had a rough spell with injuries. He's just came back from a major injury and he's not been fully fit and firing. However, again, he went to the Euros and played really, really well in a style that fit him. Would you not say, aye, that sounds great? It's a free transfer. You know, that's free, ladies. He's in the door right now. Is that no amazing? Aye, it is. We've got it, but we're kicking him out to probably spend more on gambles that probably do less. It's a weird scenario, especially I think if you look at how we treated him when he was at the Euros, because they fired him out, propaganda. Every game Haji played, oh look, he's playing at the Euros, that's our player, So we were able to fire out the propaganda and fire out all that stuff and cling on to the one player that was good enough to play at the Euros in terms of a Rangers shirt. But the second the Euros end, we kick him to the reserves and everything like that. It's weird, and that's why for me it's so nice, because there's always sun with this football club. There's always sun getting done incorrectly, and whether or not Haji is the answer, whether or not Haji is this, isn't what I'm actually here to talk about, or I've got the answer for. It's just, what a scenario to put ourselves in again. And to be fair, I didn't mind him doing this, coming out and clarifying that he's playing for the B team, he's working his ass off, he's training, he's fully fit, he's ready, he's no spat the dummy like Cantwell, he's not done it, he's done everything the right way by this football club, he's just not getting a chance to play. I've got no problem with, ladies and gentlemen, because again, there needs to be a clear line drawn between Cantwell and Haji, because they're completely different situations. Cantwell doesn't want to be here. Rangers wanted Cantwell. Haji wants to be here, but Rangers or Clement doesn't want Haji. That's the key differences between them. One of them's being a professional, playing with the B team, helping the youth team out, gone out there, swallowing his pride despite playing at the Euros. The other one isn't. So let's put a wee bit of respect on Haji's name, in my opinion. Again, do I see this changing anything? No, he'll be punted and he will be moved on. But there is a clear difference, and that's why I wanted to mention it right here. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comment section below. And again, some of them might be announced by the time you watched it, or some of them will be announced very, very shortly. But I wanted to clear the decks, ladies and gentlemen, so we could talk about ins, and that should be happening very, very soon. And until then, I've been Siege92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best, and bye-bye.